Wait. I need a break right here. You're telling me you brought ESPN, HBO, and six other
No,
channels
more and
to Latin
more.
America?
HBO, ESPN, all of Fox's channels,
Oh
all
my
of
God.
MGM and all of Sony, 10 channels total.
So today, I am honored to have this conversation with somebody that is a true trailblazer, a woman who turned barriers into blueprints, a woman that is not only in nominations, winning awards all across the country, across the world, the first Latina president of a U.S. television network. Today with us, she is Nely Galán. Nelly, ¿cómo estás?
Charlie, I'm so proud of you and so happy to be here with you.
So, Nelly, a lot of people know the legend behind the name, but I want to get to know you. Can you tell us your life story, very short, very brief, of how you came to be this empowered woman, the woman you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you come out of the womb empowered, right? And certainly not when you're Latina, and certainly not when you're an immigrant coming to this country when your parents have lost everything and they're not empowered. So I want also I want women and men to know that the journey of empowerment is a journey, and I think for me it was a very important journey because my parents I felt like were very unempowered and just feeling very bad after they left communist Cuba and came here and had lost everything, like so many immigrants, and didn't speak the language and had two kids that had to be their translator and their everything. And I don't think that's what they expected. I think, I don't think we ever talk about how parents of Latino kids, if they had lived in their own country, they would be taking care of us. And the whole roles switched, and we have taken care of them their whole life, and we've been parentified. We're like the parents. And so I think, that really has affected so many of us in ways that we can't even imagine. And I think for me, I think I was more of an artistic child. I thought I was going to be a writer, and I loved writing and I loved artistic things. But I figured out very early in life that I had to learn to make money because my parents needed a team, and I was one of the players in that team. And so, trying to make a very long story short, I think I started selling Avon in the seventh grade. Uh, Avon, for those of you that don't know that are too young, it was a door to door cosmetic company. Today, you would buy online, so it's a very different story. But back then, it was door to door, and I sold it out of my locker in school to help pay for my tuition and to help my parents and without telling my dad because I didn't want my dad to feel bad. And, I think that for me, I felt like my parents, I felt so sorry for my parents. They worked so hard and to make ends meet that I just felt like it was really my duty to do better and to make money and to do better than them, that they didn't bring me all that way to the United States for me not to take advantage of all the opportunities in this country. So, by the time I was 15 years old and in high school, I had written an article to 17 magazine, which was the magazine I read as a teenager, about why you shouldn't send your kid to all girl Catholic school. And which my parents were like, why did you do that? And I got expelled from the school, and 17 magazine offered me the youngest guest editorship in the magazine. So my life really went from a very bad decision that I made that caused me very big problems at home and at school to it made me get this incredible honor to work at 17 magazine at 15, kind of like the devil wears Prada. And it's interesting because I realized that this country doesn't admire people that are wimpy or people that don't have a bold voice, and that they really admire and really praise people who kind of don't do what everybody else is doing and kind of are a little controversial. And so I think that I've been controversial ever since. I think I kind of like it. And I think that was the beginning of me finding my voice, is having a very bad thing that I did that now I don't think was bad at all. It was very truthful. And having it cause me, the disrespect of my parents, of my school, of everything. And yet it launched me on a career I could never imagine in media.
That is crazy. So right now that you're saying a bad decision, I don't think it was a bad decision. It was a risky decision. So I feel like I feel all this Cuban flavor coming from a Latina woman like you, that we love risk. Latinos, we love risk. We love stepping, giving the extra step. So for you, taking this big step, how was that received in your Latino family? Because Latino families, as you know, are pretty traditional, typically. But how was
Horribly,
that for your family?
horribly, horribly. I mean, my parents have, like, now that they're older, like they're really like very old. They remind me still of all the things I did that they'll never forgive me for. Like, first of all, that was a tough decision, and they were very confused as to how did something that I did that bad turn out so good. And then they were even more confused because that job at 17 Magazine led me to getting a job as a reporter on the teenage version of the TV show 60 Minutes. And that, in order to do that show, I had to move to Austin, Texas at 17 and leave my parents. And my parents were like, "You don't leave home till you get married. Tú no te vas hasta que te cases." And I escaped in the middle of the night and I left.
Wow.
And they always say to me, my mother still says to me, that was the worst day of my life. And I will never forgive you for leaving that day. And yet, if I hadn't left that day, where would they be now? Because I left and made a big career of myself, and I sent them money every year, and I took that money and invested it. And now that they're older and they were like, "Well, we don't have the money for all this." And I go, "Oh, you have the money, you're rich." So I think a lot, that's why I say to a lot of young kids, we have to love our parents because they have given everything for us. But that doesn't mean you have to listen to your parents, because our parents are still living almost like stuck in time, in another place and time in their life, living a life that's not the way America is. And that's why I work a lot with like Hispanic Scholarship Fund. There's so many kids, you can't believe how many kids in America that are Latino get offered scholarships to Ivy League schools and their parents don't let them go. And I go, "Go, go, go." They don't know what they're saying. It's almost like you have to say, "Dear God, forgive them. They know not what they do." Like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what Harvard is. Go.
And it's normal that we hear, but it's that Latino families are not accustomed to letting their kids go out of their house before they get married, or this kind of thing. But there's something that is not working correctly. If you could fix, or you could change something in the stereotypical Latino family, what would you change? What would you say to the family so that it could be really developed into what we dream the Latino family base is really about?
Well, that's a great question, Charlie. Nobody's ever asked me that question, and I really love it. And I would say to you that I wouldn't change one thing about the parents. I would change everything about the kids, and I'll tell you why. Because my parents have given me the greatest gift of my life, which I didn't know how to appreciate till later, which is they've gave me a very solid moral, ethical foundation that has gotten me through. I worked in Hollywood for every disgusting person you've ever heard about Me Too, and I've never been Me Too'd.
That's awesome.
And I think that's because I was raised right. And I'm not saying that it still couldn't have happened to me, but it didn't, because I didn't drink, and I didn't drink the entire time I worked in entertainment, because I thought, I want to be the sober driver. I want to be the person that if a guy comes on to me, I say, "I'm your good daughter," which is what I've done many times. "I'm your good daughter. Don't mess me up."
Yeah.
And I got through Hollywood unscathed.
Wow.
So I wouldn't change my parents. I would change me for taking it personally at times and feeling like they don't love me or whatever because they're not letting me do whatever. Because they're doing the best that they could, and what they have in their values, most American parents don't have to the degree that they have. And in the end, I have found my own way through the world, and that's my job. And but the foundation that they gave me is so solid that I am unscathed by so much temptation.
That's a beautiful answer. I couldn't have written something better. It's amazing, Nelly. And I want to ask you, how was it that this young girl that wrote to the magazine 17 got to become the first Latina president in a US TV network? How did you make that happen? How did you get there? Because you have to sacrifice, you have to drive through hard times, you have to endure. That would be the word. How did you endure to make that happen?
Well, I think first of all, like if I'm being brutally honest, there is a secret combination of things that have to happen. First of all, I'm smart.
Yeah.
I am a smart girl. I was a straight A student. I was a smart girl, but a lot of smart people don't get anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm very, as my Jewish friends would say, you have a lot of chutzpah, right?
Could you
Chispa,
translate? Could you
chispa,
translate to
chispa,
Spanish?
chispa. Yo tengo chispa, and I think que yo soy una persona like people say to me, "You're fearless." I'm not fearless at all. I'm very scared, but when I'm scared, I do it anyway. I just tell myself, "Just go." I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? So I tend to be very, there's a word in Spanish I can't even translate it to English. Osada. You know what that is?
Osada,
Osada.
atrevida, atrevida.
Atrevida, right? Like daredevil,
Yeah,
daredevilish.
yeah, yeah.
And I just love challenges, and I like beware. I mean, and also I think I'm a very hyper focused person. Like and I say this to a lot of young people too. Like I think I meet a lot of people that are butterflies.
Yeah.
Like un poquito de esto, un poquito de lo otro, un poquito, and I've noticed. I've worked for 8 billionaires. And the common denominator between all of them is that they're hyper focused. Like, I realize that you can really accomplish anything you want if you just focus on it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think there's a second element, but the first element is to hyper focus. And then if you decide it's not working, then hyper focus on something else. I have a stepson that is a professional athlete. And he is a very, like, I laugh at him because I go, "You're very one dimensional." Like, he's super hyper focused, but he's the number one skateboarder in the world, right? Like, that's what it takes. If you want to be an Olympian, the difference between you and number two is 0.11111, right? So I focused on not just television and I started out as a reporter, and I realized, no, I really want to be an executive because I'm smart for this. And if I'm over here, I'm going to be judged on my looks over time. As a woman, it's not just about my intelligence. And by the time I'm a certain age, I'm going to age out of that. I don't want that. I want a career that takes me to the end of my life. And so I was employee one of the first Spanish TV station that wasn't Univision, Telemundo. I was
Telemundo. Yeah.
And I really focused on that, and that was my goal. Now, unfortunately, my goal was interrupted because that station was sold after I worked there for 4 years, and I had to go start a business. But my business was adjacent to Telemundo. I started launching TV channels for American companies in Latin America. So many people don't know I've launched 10 channels in Latin America. So I launched HBO first,
Okay.
then ESPN.
Wait. I need a break right here. You're telling me you brought ESPN, HBO, and six other
No,
channels
more and
to
more.
Latin?
HBO, ESPN, all of Fox's channels,
Oh
all
my
of MGM and all of Sony, 10 channels total I did in Latin America through my own company. And in that period, I met everyone in Hollywood because all those people were my clients. And that's where the second piece of success matters: timing. I started that business when cable was starting. And I went and told them, why don't you let me launch? I speak Spanish. I ran a TV station. Why don't you let me launch these channels in Latin America? Because I knew all the players in Latin America from buying programming from them, from my channel. And I knew that I could do that, like I could be that intermediary. And I also could run those channels because I had already run a channel. So I built a very successful business over a period of 7 or 8 years, that then when Fox and Sony and all these people went to buy Telemundo, I was the only Latina or Latino that had experience launching and running channels. Not making TV shows, which is more glamorous,
Yep.
but running channels. And everybody, when I got the job, when I was offered the job of running Telemundo, and they bought my business from me, and they then hired me to run Telemundo, I got a lot of flack from Latinos that called Sony, who ended up buying it, and said, "Why does she get the job? Because they didn't understand. They thought that creative people get those jobs, right?"
Yep.
They called Sony and they go, "Why did she get that job? She's an arriviste. She just arrived in Hollywood. We've been here for years. We make movies, we make TV shows." And they're like, "Yeah, but you don't run TV channels."
Right.
And she has 10 years of experience running TV channels and many different TV channels and successfully and making us money. I think that sometimes in this creative space of television, people all want to do the artistic part, but they don't realize it's really a business. And the people that show that they make money keep getting more business. So like I now could produce any movie I want, any TV show I want. And even then I could, and I did. I ended up getting a huge deal once we sold the channel to NBC. And then they made me Tyler Perry and gave me a huge deal to make shows. Not because I'm the best producer or the best director or the best anything, but because they knew I was good with money and that the rest of the stuff you can figure it out or you
But
hire people.
that's the smart part about the business. You figured it out. You found the key to not only produce what you want, whatever you wanted, but how you could make a business out of it. But was there ever a time where you said, "No, I'm not good for this. This is not me anymore. I need to leave this alone and just shift into something else"? Has there
I
ever been a
did,
time?
but I have to say before I even tell you that,
Yeah.
the part that you have to see that is even more important about all this is that when I was doing those 10 channels,
Yeah.
I worked for people like the president of HBO, Rupert Murdoch, Chaim Saban, who ran Fox Kids, ESPN, all the founders of ESPN, MGM, which, Mark Burnett, all these people, Sony, John Feldheimer, brilliant guy. So inadvertently, going back to my voice and my empowerment, I was mentored, not directly. It's not like I sat there and went, "You're my mentor," but I would listen to all their conversations. I would listen to their negotiations. I would listen to them negotiating with me, and I had to learn to speak like them back, para que no me jodieran,
Claro, claro,
I
hablar,
had
hablar en
to,
la forma en la que ellos hablaban.
yeah, I had to ask for money. I had to learn. I saw them cut deals and talk about millions of dollars like it's nothing. So I had to talk about millions of dollars like I need 5 million for this. I need 10 million for that. Como si nada. And then I'd get it. And I'd go, "Oh my God, they gave it to me. I can't believe it." So I've had a mentorship. I can't say it was just me and this is why I believe so much in mentorship, because if it was just little Latina from New Jersey con los papás, that are unempowered, I wouldn't have made it. It was that by osmosis, by staying late, by being in a car with Rupert Murdoch, and he's buying buildings, and I go, "Well, do you? It sounds like you care more about the buildings than 20th Century Fox." And he goes, "Young lady, the buildings will be worth more than the business. Go buy buildings." I wrote a book, and in my book I write, "Don't buy shoes, buy buildings," because every single one of those billionaires could give a hoot about the business compared to buildings. So I started thinking, I better go buy buildings. So it is all these elements of being rebelde, being traviesa
Mhm.
and doing it anyway, even though I'm afraid. I think also having intelligence. You have to have that kind of intelligence to do math and do business and all that. So I had it naturally.
Yeah.
Being at the right place at the right time when the Latino market hit. And then, like, because I was so early in the market, I had access to these unbelievable billionaires that now it's very hard to even get a hold of those people
Yeah.
at an age where I could suck in all that information and almost I laugh because in my book I wrote, I still think of them in my head and I speak in their voice. It's very weird. Like I go, what would Jerry Parenchio say? What would Norman Lear say? What would this guy say? How would he negotiate this deal? And sometimes I just have to like I don't even know who's the person that comes out of me.
Yeah. So you've
So I
learned.
so anyway, all of that is true. And then you asked me, did I ever want to leave? Yes, I did. After many, many years of running channels, producing shows, I produced over 700 shows, and then being asked to go on Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then going on the show and having a lot of arguments with Donald Trump. And then seeing the response I got from the thousands and thousands and thousands of women, minority women, Latina, Black, Asian, East, Indian. I mean, you can't even imagine saying, how did you learn to speak truth to power?
Wow.
And I thought, and I went and spoke at all the Fortune 500s and to women. And I thought to myself, wow, like I'm a hidden figure. I'm like this person behind the scenes, and yet my story is so powerful. Because
You're
for
getting
most people, if you don't see someone like me that looks like me, that comes from my background, and you don't hear that it's possible, how would you know it's possible? And it was so good for me to go speak to all those women because I would say to them, they'd say, did you go to Harvard? I go, no, in fact, at that point, I never finished college at that point.
yeah.
And I said I started out as a little intern at 17 and they said, "Oh my God, so it's possible." I go, "Yeah, it's possible." But during that period, my son was in the third grade and he was having a lot of challenges in school. And one day he says to me, "I am never going to go to college. You didn't finish college and you've done really well and I hate school." And I thought to myself, this is like, esto es un hueco en mi vida y un hueco en mi carrera y un hueco en mi alma. And I decided to quit and I went back to school and I ended up getting a master's and doctorate in clinical psychology.
Wow.
And I focused my dissertation on the psychology of money in multicultural communities because the thing that had happened to me when I went around and spoke to these women at these Fortune 500s is I realized that what I didn't have is a limiting belief about being rich. I was working with all multimillionaire and billionaires that had started their own companies. And what they imparted to me is that I could do it too. And by that point, I was a wealthy girl. And I felt like it was my job. I had like this epiphany that it was my job to change the mindset of these Latinos first, and then other multicultural women. And I say women because I know women influence their children. And that I had to change the next generation of kids to think that they could be anything they want to be because we can.
You can.
And my dissertation became a book called Self Made,
Yeah.
Becoming Empowered, Self Reliant, and Rich in Every Way, which became a New York Times bestseller. Salió en español y en inglés y en mandarino, en chino.
Wow.
And I've traveled the world teaching women how to start businesses. And so it's been a very beautiful journey for me.
It's an amazing journey, and I honestly hate that this podcast has to be short because our vision through this podcast is to just hook people into a conversation. But now I'm hooked, and I don't want to stop. But I have two more questions for you,
Okay,
just two
dale.
more. So, The first one, you spoke about being hyper focused, being on time, the timing, everything. But I want to talk about being Latina. What superpower does being Latina bring to you?
Everything. I would not be me if I wasn't Latina. Latina is everything to me because it's my point of view, it's my passion, it's my drive, it's my mission, and it's the place where I want to give back. Because not enough people give back to Latinos. So for me, that's very important. But my point of view, which is, I always say when I was running Telemundo, I used to say, ser Latino es lo mejor de los dos mundos, because you can be fully Latino and you can be fully American. And to me, that's how I feel. I feel like I bring added value wherever I go. And when people don't want to do deals with me or whatever, I don't even take it personally because I'm like, it's your loss. If you don't do it, it's your loss. So I'm going to be very successful and then you're going to be sorry. And when you have that attitude, people don't say no to you. It's very weird.
It's kind of intimidating in moments, right?
Well, I do think that if I had to change one thing about our community is we do have limiting beliefs. And it's understandable because we've been through a lot and we're very humble and we don't share our pain the way other people do. But I think that we have so many superpowers, not just in our numbers, not just in our point of view, in our work ethic, in our values, in our morals. So many beautiful things about all of us that if I could help a little bit change our limiting beliefs, I think we would all be in a whole other realm of abundance.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Final question. You go back to when you were 16, but you time travel, just you as you are right now, and you get to see this young girl climbing out the window, traveling over to Austin. You have 10 seconds to give her a piece of advice. What advice would you give yourself
Oh,
at
I
that
know what
age?
I would say.
All right.
I would say don't let your personal life fall through the cracks. That's just as important because family for Latinos is everything. And I was on such a ship, on a ship to success, and I achieved that. And I'm so happy that I have a son and a stepson. But if I had to do my life over again, I would have 3 or 4 children. So I think I let that fall through the cracks. And those kind of things are a certain timing for those kind of things. And if you miss the boat, you miss the boat. So I would tell her, don't let your personal life fall through the cracks.
I love that. I love that. Okay, now I'm hooked, Nelly. So I need to know what's up with Proximo. I heard something about Proximo, something that's happening. So tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that, just to end this conversation.
Yes. Well, my dear friend Gary Acosta, who is the founder of NAREP, which is the organization in the United States that really has built the most wealth for Latinos, creating a conversation and a how-to in the real estate industry for many, many thousands of Latinos. And I'm just such a fan of what he's done. He and I came together and we decided to do an event for Latinos and bring the parents like me and all the kids and talk about multi-generational wealth, crush limiting beliefs, bringing the masters in our community, the people that have won MacArthur Genius Awards, Rhodes Scholarships, Oscars, Nobel Prize winners, bring them and talk about, the different asset classes that we could be making money in, not just real estate, but the body of work that writers have, the body of work that scientists have, the body of work that activists have that we could monetize. I have a TV show that I made 20 years ago called The Swan. I own that intellectual property. It's coming back.
There you go.
I want us to look at all the asset classes where we can make money. I want to look at how our kids can get more involved in our businesses, not feel like, oh, I don't want to be in my parents' business. Because why are you starting from zero? Start with a little, if somebody's giving you a head start from that head start.
Right.
I want all of our kids, just like I took advantage of what my parents did, and I took it to a whole other level. I tell my sons, if you don't beat me, you're idiots. Because I've already given you an incredible mentorship foundation. So I want to build the parent, kid, next generation multi-generational wealth for Latinos. That's what we're missing. And Próximo is going to bring the masters along with the money people. We're going to put everybody together, connect the dots, and create love affairs, business affairs, and wealth for everybody.
So what I'm hearing, Nelly, is that our next conversation is going to happen at Próximo, right?
Próximo, which is going to be September 18th to 21st in San Diego. No se lo pierdan. Es lo último, the next thing that's going to happen. Próximo.
Es lo próximo, es lo próximo. Nelly, I can't thank you enough. This has been a game changer, not only in my experience, personal experience, but for thousands of people that are going to be watching this. So thank you for being you, and thank you for being Latina.
Charlie, I'm so proud of you. You're my next gen. You're going to listen and do better than all of us.
We will. Thank you for your time, Nelly.
No, thank you so much.